Welcome to the Quantum Wealth Podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about something that happened to me in real time this last week. So this last week, I spent the past weekend in Las Vegas, which is somewhere that I used to live. I lived there for 17 years. It's where I started all of my business besides for this coaching business. And I have a lot of history there. I have businesses that have failed there. I have businesses that have been successes there. And just a city that I have a lot of history in. It's not a city that I love. It doesn't really fit my personality. People ask me all the time if I miss Las Vegas, and I really don't. I am not a desert girly. I don't like the heat. I don't like the sun. That is what led me to Seattle. But I realized this last weekend is that I tell the story of my brick and mortar business in Las Vegas a lot because it's part of my origin story. It's how I really became successful as an entrepreneur. It's a big part of my life, and it shaped who I am, not just as a person and as an entrepreneur, but who I ended up becoming as a coach. And it's such a big part of my story. And the part of the story that I tell a lot is how I was broke, how I was burnt out, how I was unhappy. Like in every story, the hero has to go through something to get to the other side. And for me, the hard part of my story was in Las Vegas. But this was the first time I had been back to Las Vegas and did not own a business there. I was not attached to anything there. I was going purely to support someone in opening their business. So for pleasure, for fun. And I had such a different experience, and I really want to tell you about it and share what I realized over the weekend while I was there. So let me set the scene for you. I am lying on the floor in a restorative yin yoga class, super relaxed, surrounded by candles, and I realized that the studio that I built is just pure magic. And this is not news to me. I have known that that studio is something special for a really long time. The story I'm always telling is this one of hardship. And it's not one of great success. It's not one with a lot of happiness. And so as I was lying there, I felt inspired to share with you the magic of this moment, of this studio, of this history, because I think this is something that happens to all of us where we can't see what's going on when we're in it. And when we're on the other side of it, you're just able to appreciate something so much more. And obviously I'm a mindset coach, so I try to be positive as often as possible. And I feel like the story I tell about my business and about Las Vegas is really negative. And I know I had to go through that negativity to get me to where I am today, but I really want to reveal a different side of that story that I've told. So the other part of the inspiration around telling you this story is that I was in Las Vegas and I was talking to a friend who was from Vegas but doesn't live there anymore, like me. And I was just saying the city is not part of who I am. And I feel like I give it such a bad rap. And also, it shaped so much of me and I owe it so much. And she was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Hello, have you not listened to episode 1 of the podcast?" Because episode 1 of the podcast is all about how that business burnt me out, about my money mindset, about the struggles I had, about trying to get out of town, about selling my business and selling my house, and what a nightmare that was, and how I got to the other side of that. So that combination of lying there in yoga, just so proud of myself, so grateful for something that I created. Because even though I have nothing to do with the business now, that business is so exactly what I built it into. I was saying to my friend lying next to me in class, like, this is the best studio in the world. And he's like, "Really? I've never been anywhere else." And I was like, "Well, you don't have to, because this is the best. And also, of course, I think it's the best. I built it exactly how I wanted it. It is my people. It is the way I like things." And there's this negativity when I talk about Las Vegas because it wasn't the place for me, because I wasn't happy there, because so much of my struggles come from there. And so today I want to tell you about what you can't see when you're in it and being on the other side. And of course, hindsight is 20/20, but about what I felt looking back and being in a space that is so, so special to me, because I think that this wouldn't have been possible if I built an online business there, if it wasn't something where, so to speak, my legacy lives on. I moved away from Las Vegas over 3 years ago, and I have been back several times. However, this was the first time I went with no ties to my business. It's the first time I've been back since I sold my business, and I wasn't there with having to look at how the business was going. I wasn't looking at numbers. I was able to go to class and to appreciate the studio without caring if it was messy, if there was something on the floor, if the front desk was doing what they need to do. And like, do I care about those things? Absolutely. And also, it does not affect me anymore. So the reason I was in town was my previous business partner, Kim, had opened her second studio. And so I was there to support her for her grand opening. She is a coaching client of mine, a friend of mine. She has an amazing story about buying this business from me first as a partner and then buying the whole thing. And it's had just so much success as a client of mine. And so that's a really fun story. If you have not listened to that episode, I'll link it below too. She has come so far and has done so much. And so this is her next big chapter. I would argue the biggest chapter, because this is her first business that she's doing fully on her own. Her previous business, she'd had a business partner, then she bought the studio from me, and now she's opening her own studio with her own vision, and it is completely her. And so while I was in Las Vegas, I really wanted to take some good classes. And on the Friday I was there, I took 3 different classes. I took 2 yoga classes and I took a Pilates class. And of course, I picked the teachers that are very unique and special and just something that I have not experienced since I moved. And the classes were amazing. And also, it wasn't just the classes. It was being in the energy of that community, of that business, of that space. It's so, so special to me and to so many people. And something I didn't realize till I was in it was like the old story of what that business was is just, I'm not tied to it anymore. There's no more hard feelings. There's no fear. There's no money connection. I am in a very different place. And that really allowed me to take it all in. It allowed me to just be quiet, to sit in the space and to feel how magical it is. I wish I had a better word than magical, and there isn't one. And if you have taken a class at that space, you know that it's true, especially the yoga classes. So this studio is called Pilates Plus Yoga, but the yoga at Pilates Plus Yoga was nothing like it is when I came in, because Pilates Plus Yoga had always been a Pilates studio, and I love Pilates. And it's my opinion that Pilates makes so much more money than yoga. And also, yoga was always my first love. I found yoga long before I found Pilates. I was a yoga teacher long before I taught Pilates. And because of that, I really built that yoga program and shaped it into what it is today. And so on my 3rd class of the day there, I really was able, because it was this quiet restorative class by candlelight, to just sit in it and feel how grateful I was that I built this space, that it's something so special, that it's something that cannot be replicated. And if you would have asked me previously if I was proud of that business, absolutely. If that business meant a lot to me, yes. And also, being on the other side of it and physically being in that space was just such a different experience. There is a different feeling when you're unattached to something of how you can look at it differently. So I want you to take, for example, something going on in your life and you need help, you need advice, you need a coach. And then your best friend, your colleague at work, your whomever can be going through something so similar, and you can give them advice. You can see it so clearly, but you can't do that for yourself. That is so normal, because when we are in the thick of it, we can't see objectively. So I would say that this is the first time I was able to objectively look at that business and be like, wow, I like fucking did it. This thing is so special. This business is unlike anything else. The people here care about it. They value that space so, so much. They love it. There's just an energy in that space that feels right. I don't know how to put it into words, but everyone who's been there can experience that. And it just feels calm and inviting and peaceful. And so this made me think of how we just don't appreciate something when we're in it. Am I saying there's zero appreciation, zero gratitude? Absolutely not. And when you're on the other side of something, you're able to feel it at a different level. I want you to think back to a memory of where you accomplished something that was so amazing, whether it was a financial goal, whether it was a personal goal. It could be something like running a marathon, hitting your first $20,000 a month, $100,000 a year, whatever it is. And it felt good, but it wasn't until much later when you were fully removed from it that you thought like, wow, that's a huge deal. And I think this is because we're always going on to what's next. Like as soon as we run the race, what's the next race? As soon as we hit the goal, what is the next goal? As soon as we make the money, we want to go to the next place. And what would be possible if we were able to feel our accomplishments in the moment? And this is something I definitely practice with my clients. We celebrate every Friday. It's something I challenge my clients to really allow themselves to feel gratitude, to celebrate themselves. And what if you could feel how far you've come as if it were 20 years from now, as if you were on your deathbed, as if like it was all behind you. It's just a different feeling. And so my question to you is, how can you bring that feeling into the here and now? Because I know you've all felt it. If you think back to something that you are so proud of that you didn't necessarily feel in the moment, what would be possible if you were able to feel that gratitude, to feel that depth, have that hindsight, have that appreciation right here and right now? And I'm going to answer it for you. The limit would not exist. Your potential would expand. You would attract so much more because gratitude is a frequency. It is an energetic signal that you can take on more, because when you are not fully in gratitude for what you've done, for what you've accomplished, for what you've built, you can't call in anything else. And part of this is absolutely not our fault. So you literally cannot appreciate what you're building when it's not normal to you, when you are in the thick of it, which is what I realized happened to me. I was too much in the thick of it that yes, I appreciated it. Yes, I loved that business. And I was too much in fight or flight. I was too much in survival to understand the impact I had made, to understand the lives that I had changed, to understand the legacy that I had built. And this happens to all of us because when we are in the creating stage, when we are in the doing stage, our brain is keeping us afloat. That's literally its job. Your brain does not want you to do things that are not normal for you, that are big and scary, because your brain sees it as a threat, because we just have not evolved past that biologically. And also, if we can get out of that threat, if we can get out of the fight or flight sooner rather than later, our potential will be so much greater, so much bigger. We will have so much more potential. And when we accomplish something really big, something really meaningful, something really impactful, our friends and family will be like, I'm so proud of you. And that's amazing. And it matters more that you are proud of yourself. It matters more that you are the one celebrating, that you are the one who is in gratitude, that you are the one who's appreciating it. Because only you know what's meant for you. Only you know your dharma. Only you know your path. And if you're still in the thick of what's going on, A, that happens. And B, once you get past it and you can reflect, that's how you close the chapter. I want to give you an example of this that happened over the weekend. So there were a few people that I had not seen in years, and they know me as this amazing Pilates person, the one who is always at the studio, the one who was doing all the things, the one who wrote a 450-page Pilates book, and they very much see me in that identity. And so when they ask what I'm doing now, and it has nothing to do with Pilates, they were confused. And I got some really interesting feedback. And it's feedback that I don't take personally because I think I do a pretty good job at not caring what people think. And I don't think they meant it to be cruel, but they definitely had thoughts about it. They did not understand why I was coaching. They didn't seem to think that it was like a real job. They were very much apprehensive and giving me weird looks. And other people's inability to see that I'm out of that and the growth and how far I've come since then is a reflection of where they are, not where I am. And that's why it's important that you celebrate yourself. That's why it's important that you figure out the realizations yourself. This is why no coach can tell you what to do. Only you really know. And only really do you know what is right for you, what is meant for you. Sure, people can guide you, and also you have to be the one aligned with your life, with your goals, with where you're going. So my question to you as the listener is, who in your life is seeing you in an old version of you? And are you letting that perception slow you down? Are you taking that to heart? And if you are, it's totally understandable. It makes sense. That is human nature, that we want approval from other people. And also, I'm telling you right here, right now, you don't need it. That in order to grow and move forward and reach your fullest potential, you have to let go of other people's expectation of you. And this is, again, so much easier for me to say because I have this distance with where I was. And if you're in the thick of it, if you're just on the other side of it, you may not be there yet. And learn from my mistakes because this distance gives us information. So for example, I was able to walk back to my old studio and I had no ownership, I had no responsibility. And that's what brought me the clarity. It is harder to get that clarity if you're in it than if you're on the other side. And if you're looking for clarity, one of the fastest ways you can get there is to mute all the noise, to stop taking other people's opinions to heart. Again, easier said than done, but the better you get at this, the faster you're going to be able to evolve. The easier it's going to be for you to quantum leap. And what this experience also made me think of was The Gap and the Gain. So The Gap and the Gain is a book by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. And it's all about looking at the gain, what you've accomplished, rather than the gap. And it's so normal for high achievers to measure themselves against where they want to be. They measure up, not backwards. They look at where they need to go, not how far they've come. And so how can you live in the gain and not in the gap? How can you not look at yourself as behind, as not enough, not being in scarcity, not one milestone from allowing yourself to feel your success, from being in it, and rather be in the gain right here, right now? And my example of the gain for you is when I was in that yoga pose and that feeling just washed over me of how far I've come, at what I have done, at what I have accomplished. And I will tell you, I would have not felt that way a few years ago. If I had gone there when I still was attached to the studio, especially before I had done all the personal development work that I had done, I would have appreciated being there. I would have liked being there. I would have liked seeing people. And also, I would have remembered all the hard times that that studio brought me. And in this version of me, I went in there and just thought that these hard times shaped me. And I'm so glad that they happened because I wouldn't be the entrepreneur I am today. If I hadn't got through all the hard things, I wouldn't be the business coach that I am. Because I will tell you, there are a million business coaches. Not a lot of them have owned businesses. Not a lot of them have sold businesses. Not a lot of them have had legal troubles, have fallen out of escrow. And all of these hard things shape us. And they make us stronger. They make us better. And I truly believe that it is all these hard experiences that make me good at what I do. And so for me, being in the gain was walking in there and feeling what I built, feeling my legacy, feeling proud, and feeling how far I had come. And if you look at the people who don't understand why I'm not in Pilates anymore, they're looking at like the gap. They're looking at, well, why aren't you involved in that? Why did you give that up? You were so good at that. They're looking at the gap of who I used to be, not the gain of that shaped me. It gave me so much, and it's just not part of my story anymore. It's just part of my past. And what I want you to take away from this is you do not have to wait for the drama that I had. I truly feel that I experienced these things so that my clients don't have to, so my listeners don't have to, so my followers don't have to. You do not have to wait to have the full exit that I did. You don't have to wait for the retreat. You don't have to wait for the long weekend. You don't have to wait for your vacation. You don't have to wait for the hour you get to yourself. You can create the distance that lets you see clearly right here, right now. Because you are not your business. You are not what you've created. And I know that may sound wild, but you are separate from that. You are so much more. You are this spiritual being who is on this path, and your work is absolutely part of you. To me, my work is the most important thing in my life, and it isn't me. It's just what I do. And when you can find that separation, you just become so powerful, so unstoppable, because that distance, that separation, that being able to watch yourself and watch your thoughts and sit in the frequency of gratitude, of celebration, that's a really powerful combination. That makes you a really powerful manifester. And when it comes to manifesting, I'm going to tell you something you already know. If energetically you're in scarcity, if you are dismissing all you've done, dismissing what you've accomplished, you're not in abundance. And that's going to create more scarcity. It's not going to attract more abundance. When you're minimizing your wins, your accomplishments, you are sending a very clear signal to the universe. It's not enough for me. The analogy I like to tell my clients is if you were to take two kids out for ice cream, your nephews, your nieces, your kids, and one said, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so excited. I'm so happy with this ice cream. This was fun. This was the highlight of my day." And the other one said, "I wish you let me get 3 scoops instead of 2. Who would you want to take out for ice cream? When you are not appreciating all you've done, you're being the kid who doesn't appreciate the 2 scoops of ice cream. And the universe is not going to take you for more ice cream. But if you can stand in your accomplishments and be proud and think, wow, I did that. I'm proud of myself. Like, that's a big deal. I'm something special. That's recalibrating you for so much. And I don't want you to pretend that the hard parts aren't there. I want you to acknowledge that you've come far. I want you to acknowledge when things maybe weren't always the best. And also, you can acknowledge that things were hard, that it was a hard experience, that maybe things didn't go exactly how you had wanted, and you are still successful. And the struggle and the success led you to where you are now. And that because of what you've built, because of what you've done, you have more capacity. You are more open to receive. This is how you expand yourself in life, in business, for money. The more you expand, the more you can hold. And in order to expand, you have to feel the full experience. You have to have the struggle and the success. You have to feel both. And also you have to amplify and feel all the accomplishments that you've had. So right now I want you to think of something that you've accomplished, something you've built, something maybe that wasn't easy, something that you created, something that you have not fully honored for yourself. And I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you stopped and said, I did that? Not to brag, not to prove anything, not to tell anyone else about it, but just to let yourself feel it. So I want you to take a moment right now and close your eyes. If you're driving, don't do this. Come back to it, but I really would invite you to do it later on. Close your eyes, pause, and think of the thing that you've done. Think of the thing you've accomplished. Think of the thing that you're proud of and really let that sink in. Really allow yourself to feel it. Allow yourself to amplify it. And now allow yourself to be really proud. Allow yourself to feel that accomplishment. Allow yourself to really celebrate yourself, to sit in gratitude, and let that feeling expand. Let it wash over you and just feel it. Just be with it. Be with it without having to do anything, without trying to move forward, without trying to go deeper. Just sit in it. Sit in yourself and just feel the feelings of what you've done. Feel the feelings of your accomplishment and just be present and acknowledge it. And if you feel called to share what that thing is, I would love to hear from you. Send me a DM on Instagram, send me an email, Jillian@jillianmentor.com. I would just love to know. And again, it doesn't have to be this huge thing. It can be seemingly so small. I hope that this episode inspired you, brought you back, allowed you to see things from the other side, allowed you to appreciate something on a new level, and maybe even inspires you to appreciate things a little bit more in the present. Because that's my hope for you. My hope is for you to allow yourself to appreciate, allow yourself to be proud, and just sit in that frequency. Because that frequency is going to attract all the things that you love, want, desire, wish for, yearn for. And that's manifestation in action. I will talk to you all next Thursday. Until then, happy manifesting. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you're still here, I know you're serious about quantum leaping your income, and that commitment is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Here's what I want you to do next. Pick one insight from today and take action on it. Because here's the thing, transformation happens in the implementation, not just the inspiration. If this episode shifted something for you, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. It helps other ambitious, heart-centered women find the show. And if you're ready to take this work deeper and finally break through that income plateau, I'd love to invite you to book a discovery call with me. Because here's the thing, podcasts give you the what, but coaching gives you the how. It's what takes you from, I know what I should be doing, to, holy shit, I actually did it. Head to the show notes or to jillianmentor.com to grab your spot on my calendar. Until next week, keep choosing abundance over scarcity, alignment over hustle, and remember, you're meant for more. You just have to believe it's yours.